Welcome back to the Post Definitions Podcast. I'm your host, Freddie Lancia, and today we're taking a little trip up the mountain, over to Tbilisi, to visit a few friends of mine, a young married couple from Germany and Russia, Tim and Masha. They've both made careers out of helping people through this crazy thing we call life, and they've developed their own methods for doing so. They've become experts at helping people through crises and challenges in life. But the big question remains, what happens when they encounter their own life challenges? When they encounter crises in their own relationship? When two ideologies clash? What happens when two experts disagree on how to solve a problem that they're going through together? Do they encounter identity crises? How do they keep their relationship strong? How do they balance maintaining authenticity, keeping their selves, their own identity, while sharing a life with another person? How have challenges led to not only strengthening their own relationship, but strengthening themselves, and in the end, deep self-discovery? We're going to tackle all these questions and more in today's episode and have a lot of fun, so please enjoy.
Are you gonna bite me?
Hello.
Oh no. Hello, I'm a filmmaker. Yeah. I have to take off my shoes, Freddy. You have
You
to.
can also, if you want, we have this
Hello.
Georgian style. You can keep your shoes on.
What would you say to someone if they ask you, what do you do?
Okay, actually, right now I'm in a spot where I can finally say what I'm doing. So good that we're filming today. I'm helping people with those situations like crisis, I would say. So basically helping them to accept themselves and go through the crisis more soft, gentle, and like caring about themselves basically in those situations.
What kind of crisis?
Life crisis, I would say. So what we all have in life.
Wow.
From time to time, yeah. Yeah, I don't know, like when they stuck in life, frustrated and don't know what to do next, like okay, how to live their life basically.
Do you help them more with like the mental side, or like the here's what you should do to help yourself kind of how to get out of this situation?
No, I'm actually helping them to listen themselves. So I never say people what to do, they need to figure out what to do. I can just guide through this process basically.
Wow.
Yeah.
And you do things like use tarot cards to guide you.
And yeah, tarot card is one of the tools what I use. I use also art therapy, astrology, and matrix of destiny. This is more like numerology, I would say, part. So also based on tarot.
Wow, awesome.
And a lot of other tools, to be honest.
Yeah.
So all about self-development and listening yourself and connecting with yourself.
Amazing.
That's a part.
And you're also focused, Tim, on helping people in a similar way. Maybe not focused on crisis exactly, but
Yeah, I don't believe in crisis. No. We have a little bit of a different approach. I would say we have the same vision. I would say the same, a shared horizon of like really wanting to empower people and to put them back behind their steering wheel, you know, in life, where it's like, okay, maybe you're in a crisis. For me personally, it's really about remembering our natural way of doing thing. And I'm not saying that there's one natural way that applies for everyone, but actually there is a unique path, I believe, for every single person. And so I use basically a holographic coding system called the Gene Keys to help people remember what kind of archetypes, what kind of energies are actually in their life, what kind of lessons they can learn, and what is actually their natural way of moving through those challenges as well. So I call them challenges, not crises. And for me, they're like growing opportunities to actually become more in touch with the nature behind whatever we also learned growing up. So it is kind of, I would say it's a combination of taking apart what we learned as children, what we learned growing up. We could call it our programming or our nurture, and then kind of through that finding our way back into our natural way of doing things. And of course, I don't have that figured out completely, but I've learned through, for example, what you mentioned earlier, traveling for 7 years, being outside of my environment that I was used to, that there is so much more about myself that I don't know. And I just find it exciting to help people to explore themselves and find a way of living that actually suits them and that is really fulfilling and exciting for them.
How is that like that child self that you're helping people listen to? How is that different from like Masha's self? That
It's nothing different, actually. That's what I wanted to say. No, what I wanted to put here, what I see as a crisis, people who maybe don't know themselves fully or not living their like astrology or matrix of destiny or gene key chart, like not living their basically life, they at some point have this crisis. So that's when you wake up in one moment and in one morning and you figure out that, or you feel that the life what you live in is not fulfilling you, and you feel that you live in not your life, basically. That's, I think, a sensation what you get. And then people start to question, okay, what is actually my life? Like, what is my life lesson? Or why am I feeling this way? So I think this is a crisis. So when you maybe not going in the right direction and life is kind of try to help you with that. So when you, again, wake up in the morning and realize, like, I don't love the job, what I'm doing, and what I can do with that. So I think it's basically the same stuff. I think it's just maybe, what? No? Okay.
No. Yeah, I agree with you. No, there are those moments when, okay, you hold the microphone now. Okay, like that's the roles here. I agree. It's those moments when you basically feel like something is, you could say, wrong in your life, like not the way it's the relationship, the job, the environment you find yourself in is not fulfilling, maybe not even satisfying, like you feel like your life is almost wasting your energy, it's like you're actually not getting invigorated by life. You don't really feel alive, you're kind of surviving. And to your question, like what that child self or like the true self, you could call it, I think that is really our, you could say, the most inner essence. And that is in a certain way not just all unicorns and rainbow and like flying around on clouds, whatnot, but it comes with challenges because that needs to grow. So I believe we cannot go back to the child self, because the child self is in a certain way really codependent on the parents. But we gotta take those aspects of our child self, where we were utterly excited about life, and then integrate them into being an adult human being that takes responsibility and that also knows that, okay, some things that I learned about life, they might not apply for me. And I have the responsibility now to say no to those things and to say yes to the things that I actually want to have in life. And it's a challenging thing, because we learn, like, we need to have, at least for me, for example, now we can talk maybe a little bit about the identity I have as a German.
Sure.
I need stability in my life. I need a stable job. I need safety from the outside. I need some kind of security that shows me and the world around me that I'm good, that I'm good. But actually, that is, when I'm looking at what really fulfills me, that does not really fulfill me. What fulfills me is actually novelty and excitement and exploration. That's why I've been traveling. But that's not safe. I mean, that's like utterly uncertain. I have no idea what is going to happen within my life in the next few months. And in a certain way, that's really challenging. But it is a challenge that I believe is part of my natural self. And I think that is kind of a big thing, is like learning to choose the right challenges as well. Like learning to choose the challenges that make you grow and that do not exhaust you, but actually excite you.
Okay. And this child self or this inner self, is this something that kind of you're touching from before you even were old enough
to like start learning about your society? Like, I mean, like this is like something you're grabbing on for before you were German, like when you were like you know, like when you were a baby, you had something inside of you, and then you started to learn that, oh, maybe I should require stability and stuff, but that wasn't you, that was just where you were born. Or like how do you access, like when you look into yourself, how do you know what's you and what you learned and what is just, I don't know.
Okay, I'm trying to make this really short.
Yeah.
And then you give your
this is
version of it.
impossible.
I can already see it. Like that's gonna be a long one. I would say the parts that we now describe as like this child self or true self, those are the parts that actually, when I embody those, when I live through those, they help me to open. Like I feel an expansion within me. I feel actually like I'm relaxing into that. It feels just natural to me. Whereas the things that I learned, those are kind of the challenges that I get to deal with, but most of them are actually constricting me. They're making me feel anxious and stressed and worried about life. And so I would say the way I discern, because it's difficult, you can't really say that's me and that's not me. It's all you on a certain level. It's all me, it's all you. But what I like to focus on, and what I think is really important that we focus on, is those parts that actually help us feel at home within our bodies. You know, those things where it's like, oh, I am safe, no matter what it actually looks like on the outside. Like, what is the approach? What is my attitude towards life that feels utterly natural to me? And you could say you could describe that with a feeling of heart opening, actually, because it's like, oh, this is me. You know, like you remember in this moment, it's like, oh, that's me. But again, all the programming, all the stuff that I learned as a German and that I learned growing up with having two parents that have a really safe job as teachers, that is also part of me. Like I cannot completely discredit that, but just learning to discern what did I learn and what feels actually very natural to me. And it's a journey. I mean, it's a process. It's like not that you one time do a journaling exercise and all of a sudden you know, oh, that's me and that's not me. It's a process.
So you're following something like joy, or like listening to your body and saying, oh, you know, I really like that, I'm going to keep doing that.
Yeah.
And sometimes that liking isn't always obvious. Sometimes it comes as a challenge, like something that was difficult, but maybe you still liked it on some level. Like it didn't make you feel anxious, it made you feel challenged.
Yeah.
Maybe.
Okay, sorry. One last thing. I think I got an example.
Okay, great.
So one thing that I have been working towards for the last few years was creating financial stability. And that is something that I like, you know, like I want to have financial stability. And at the same time, in this process, I had to realize that there is a way for me to actually feel financially stable. And that is when I still play, you know, when I have this playfulness in there, when I'm actually not taking it so serious. And that is then an approach that feels natural and that feels good to me. But at the same time, even though I like the idea of having financial stability, I at some point also went down rabbit holes and went down a certain tangent where I did things I didn't really want to do because I liked the idea of having financial stability. So I think it is really important to discern, do I like the promise of the future and only the promise of the future, and because of that I compromise actually the journey? Or can I actually find a way where I both enjoy the journey and work towards a direction that I imagine fulfilling? Oftentimes I work towards things and I had to find out that that's not what I wanted. Like, it's not really what I wanted. The promise was nice, you know, the promise of love, the promise of prosperity, the promise of relaxation, the promise of freedom. But if we compromise the journey, I think that's where we compromise our true self, you could say. Because I believe we can really enjoy all of our life. It's not just these highs where it's like you get a promotion or you meet the love of your life or whatsoever. It's like the journey. But I think we got to learn to really discern what is putting me deeper into my journey and allowing me to enjoy my journey, and what is keeping me in this idea that something in the future, like that there's a promise of something, and that will make it all worth it. You know, like I suffer every day, I do a job I don't like, I stay with a person that I just don't resonate with. You holding the microphone into my direction.
Take it back, Masha.
Take it back.
Take it.
Take it back.
I wanted to say what is for me, and when I really feel that I connect with my inner child, and what I also recommend people with whom I work. So it's kind of can sound so complicated, but actually not. I think as a child, we are more, how to say, like more ourselves, when right now, for example, and we're more connected with our like inner self. And I think like asking your mom if that's possible, how you were like in your childhood, what would you like to do, like how you actually spend your free time, like whatever, play with toys, maybe play with trains, or maybe really go to nature and play with animals. So that can give you some key to yourself, to this connection. And if that is like really go into nature and play with stones, like do that. Just really give yourself a time to go and really play with those stones, because that can bring you in this point with like, flow state, basically this connection. And I think, yes, it might be challenging to go into this state, but how I experience that every time when I'm in this state, I really feel this flow. So when I forget about time, when I forget about food, I'm playing. I think that's the point. Like when we really can play, that's where we really connected with inner child.
That makes sense. And I think there's a lot of overlap as well with what Tim said. Like
Absolutely.
it's like about enjoying the journey, and maybe if you follow what your inner child wants, that is a journey. That's like, you don't know what you're gonna find in the woods, or maybe you're gonna find an overlap with like, oh, I love playing in the woods. Now I want to figure out how to make money with that, like because I need to find a way to make money or something like this, and maybe you can find a way, or find something closer, like working with plants or something.
Yeah, absolutely. There you can really find this way, and I don't know, compromise in a certain way. Yeah. So what is sometimes maybe important is just also keep the time and space for recreation and fun in your life. That's also a thing. You can basically schedule your day and your week like that you have this time where you just create and just have enjoy in playing without even thinking, is that, I don't know, can you make money with that or not, So it's just where you really can be free. So this time.
Yeah, awesome. I have a question for either of you or both of you, but Masha, maybe you take it first, or whoever feels more passionate about it as well. And it's like, people talk about like when they were a child, maybe they didn't care so much about what other people thought of them, and so they didn't have so much of this self-consciousness or something like this. And I think that's related to identity. Maybe as children, maybe as very young children, people don't really have a sense of identity. Like before 3 years old or 5 years old, they don't even like know they have a self or something. But I remember as a child, I was more self-conscious than I would say I am now. Like as like a 10-year-old or something, I was like, socially, trying to understand what's going on, and like worried about, oh, are my friends gonna like me or not,
Maybe it's really would be interesting for you to look into your values. Maybe this is a point there, Maybe like from this childhood, you basically can see that be social and be accepted and be connected with other people is one of your main core values. So, and that you also can see in your childhood, because there you're more, again, connected with yourself, I think.
Yeah.
So, And what is also interesting in Matrix of Destiny, for example, you can see what is your main lesson, what is your main kind of challenge in your life. It's very connected with what Tim say also with Jinki. So, and might be like, if we look at your card, we can really see that this is one of your main challenges, you know, like basically like really be connected with other people, be like finding your community. So, and that is like your, I don't know, soul desire. Might be, I don't know.
Yeah.
But that's what coming to me right now. So that's
thank you.
be an answer.
Beautiful. Yeah, another thing I would like to add to that is, of course, we all in a certain way have this urge to belong, but I think it is interesting to build this bridge between belonging to the community and actually not compromising ourselves. And so I actually resonate a lot with your experience that you just shared. Like, I always wanted to be liked, but I actually never felt like I was fitting in. And in a certain way, those are, for me personally, still very important cues for me to live life, because I still have this urge within me that I want to belong. And at the same time, oftentimes I still feel like I don't belong into any of those categories of people that I could belong to. And at the same time, I'm feeling more and more that the more I'm actually allowing myself to just not be categorized into this or that, the more I actually feel like I belong. And I feel like I belong as me rather than a certain label of Tim. And that's kind of an interesting thing to play with, because I believe we all belong here, but we learn that we only belong if we behave a certain way. And that's already a conflict, because then a certain aspect of Tim or of Masha or of Freddy gets put outside. And we think like, oh, to be inside of the community, this part needs to stay outside. And I think that is like a very important and interesting thing to look into, is like, which part did we maybe think had to stay outside when you were like 10 years old, or when I think back to my teenage years, like which part of Tim was not allowed, which part of Tim was not accepted, which part of my identity, you could say, I put outside to complete my group identity. And is that really worth the sacrifice? You know, do I really still feel like myself when I'm putting this part outside, or can I actually invite this part back in? And maybe, not be appreciated by all people, because some people always gonna hate you. You know, you're gonna trigger people. Like, not everybody can like you. Sometimes Masha doesn't like me, and that's fine. She loves me, but she doesn't always like me. But yeah, I think that is an interesting thing to look into, is like which part got put outside and how can we actually put that back into ourselves and back into our experience, and then find our, you could say, true community from that point of actually having all our parts integrated, rather than like, oh no, that needs to stay outside so that I'm being liked by my family, or that I'm being liked by my peers in university or whatsoever. So that's what I gotta say.
How was your journey to creating the self-confidence and the identity to actually offer these services, to come up to people and say, I'm the person to help you through life crises, to support yourselves? Some people are psychologists, for instance, therapists, and they like have a degree or something. So it's like very strict. It's very strict. Like this is the identity, and this is why I have it. So like maybe that's a point to bounce off of. Or
It's a long journey, I would say. And it's a lot of struggles what I had, I would say, last couple of years for sure. So I have been a designer for 10 years, and that's what I can say. So I have a degree. I had a really like straight, I would say, journey. So basically a path where I go with that. And at some point I just realized that it doesn't serve me. So that's kind of the crisis what I was again talking about. Yeah. So I need to leave this part of my life. Yeah. And then I need to go into this journey of finding again myself. Yes. About this like identity. Okay. Who am I? And I think in this path, what really helped me, like all the tools basically what I use right now with working with clients, those are tools what I use for myself, to find myself and to find what I really enjoy to do, to find what are my values and what I actually have in my chart again. So here is all kind of full of tools with also astrology and numerology and a lot of things, where I realized for myself that, okay, I have certain strengths, I would say, to work with people, to listen people, to be sensitive to other people, and to teach also other people. So like really helping them in the challenging moments. That's maybe, this is actually an answer on my question, what is my identity? So it's kind of a very different path. So like from I study, my parents told me like I need to be a good girl, like and then I'm study this design, I'm going one job, like another job. It's very, very like straightforward path. And then I changed from like completely different direction, where I was looking, okay, what I actually designed for, what I feel really natural to do. And then I kind of go to this different path. But this is not easy journey, not at all.
Yeah, it's almost like it's like a meta fix of this problem, because you had a crisis. You're like, what do I want to do? How do I solve this? And then you realize, oh, I'm solving a crisis. This is what I'm good at, and that's how I'm gonna.
Exactly, and that's the thing. Yeah. So I've been going through that, and that's another thing. Yeah, experience. The team and I, we sharing our experience. I think that's the main point. It's not about sharing our knowledge so much. It's of course there is a lot of knowledge there, but this knowledge come to us through this curiosity and through this experience. So like I experienced that myself, and then I really confident that I can help other people with that. I can guide them, so I can help, I can support. I'm never gonna tell anyone what to do. So this is also another thing. It's not like do those steps and you will come to success. Not at all. Like really, I can help and guide through this interesting path to explore yourself and really find what is your purpose here. Yeah, like
Amazing.
What are you here to do?
Okay. And what about you, Tim?
Yeah.
I would not actually describe myself as such a confident person. But in a certain way, I think the experiences of, like, for example, traveling and realizing that there is so many opportunities and actually everything can happen and could happen and is probably happening right now, just at different places on this planet, gave me kind of more of this perspective of like, why not? You know, like, why not just try it? And some of the things that I started, they really didn't work. And some of the things that I started, they just evolved, you know, they evolved with me. And I think Masha really hit the nail on the head. Is that a thing you say?
Yeah.
Say in English?
Yes.
With just looking into my own life and figuring out what am I actually good at, you know, where she's like, oh, I got into crisis. I kind of moved through them. I'm still standing, you know, like now I'm actually standing stronger than before. I'm good at solving crises. Where for me, it's like one thing that I'm really good at is actually exploring. And I love to explore outside. I love to explore. I mean, like, I literally spent more time outside of my house than inside this apartment, just exploring the nature around this place. And at the same time, I'm doing this internally. I personally started meditating when I was 15. I didn't know why. I just started it, and it evolved. Like in this 10-year journey, like I am a way different meditator now than I've been in the beginning. But I think one of the things that I just really want to share with people, and that encouraged actually me to help people with that, is like, I didn't know in the beginning where this journey was leading. But I still was actually eager to commit to it, and I was eager to explore and to, in a certain way, also fuck things up and then along the way figure them out. And so I would say it's not so much how I see, for example, confidence is that confidence is mostly based on knowledge. Whereas I don't really think that I have knowledge that people really need. It is really more that people come to me because they kind of sense that I have a certain set of experiences, of tools, of expertise that they can benefit from, and from which or with which they can actually start their own exploration. And so that's why I would say I'm not even so confident in what I do. I'm just extremely curious about how I can actually help others to have not a similar experience to mine, but to kind of find in a certain way their current in life, you know, whereas it doesn't mean you don't make mistakes. It doesn't mean everything is going perfect all the time, but it's kind of just like finding your flow and just connecting with this energy, that spark within you that kind of wants to move. So I would say like what is actually guiding me is curiosity and playfulness. And at the end of the day, knowing that it's probably not that serious. You know, it's like, it might work, it might not work, but at least I enjoy kind of the process of it. And I'm excited about, I'm curious about what it will bring to me and what it can bring to others.
Yeah. It sounds to me like you made like a lot of imperfect processes, and you saw that things don't need to be perfect, and that kind of removed the fear. Now you don't need to be so confident, and now you try to portray that to people. You try to convince them like, look, it's not so bad if you fail. You can be playful with life or something like this.
And it's way easier to still say that than to actually do that. Yeah. I mean, like, you know, like, for example, right now I'm at a point where if we talk about identity, a lot of things are actually crumbling, and a lot of things that I thought I had to do, or that I was still hoping to give me some reward in the future, they're just slowly trickling away. And I'm feeling it on the outside, they're still there, but I just feel like that on the inside, I'm kind of realizing, oh, I did those things not because I was actually so excited about them, but because I had this hope, this expectation for the future. And now I'm realizing that it's not fulfilling me so much. And it's challenging. I mean, it's really fucking challenging to allow those things to fall away. But for me, and then this is like just something where I remind myself, is like those breakthroughs in life, you know, like we could say crises.
Yeah, well, that's what I want to say. You're 25, you're going through crisis.
Yes, of course. And crises on a certain level are breakthroughs as I see them. And breakthroughs sometimes come in a way that you actually get something that reminds you of, oh, that's me, you know, like I really want to do this. And sometimes breakthroughs are those things that actually get taken away from you. Whereas like, no, this doesn't serve you anymore. You actually don't need this anymore. But of course, if we talk about identity, I got attached to those things. Definitely I got attached to those things. And now I'm sitting here being like, oh yeah, it's all about curiosity and playfulness, but there's a part of me who doesn't want to let go. I mean, like, letting go is no fun.
Yeah,
it's nice on the other side, but in the process, it's fucking, it's gnarly. It's like, it's really uncomfortable.
Yeah, it's letting go of the attachment, letting go of the everything what doesn't serve us anymore, and yeah, expectations, and also letting go of your identity, basically. Yeah, and sometimes life forces us to do that.